Will we go in line at war? Why then we do it? What's the stage of the formation? Shall I bring you to run around with me?
This video broke out all social media last November. It showed those mobilized in the Moscow region who were being prepared to be sent to war in Ukraine, rioting. They complained that instead of real training for combat operations, they were taught to walk in line and shoot at imaginary targets, but they were not given the necessary equipment. One of the mobilized rudely scolded the officer and then used force.
Why do you keep your hands in your pockets? Why are you? Should not be doing that.
Now it became known that this mobilized man was sentenced to 5.5 years in a strict regime colony. He was found guilty of violent acts against a superior and insulting a serviceman. But as Ukrainian intelligence interception confirmed, this mobilized man was right. Those Russian soldiers who go to the front in Ukraine do not receive proper support.
Well, consider it armor class 4 protection. Only sternum and slab, and helmets, well, are of a 1940s model. From a phone interception of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine.
And the very life of a Russian soldier does not mean anything, says another mobilized. In a conversation with his friend, he says that he saw the military leadership for the last time a month and a half ago.
There are 300,000 guys like you, in short anyway. Well, there are many like you, so don't you dare come here. From a phone interception of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine.
Those Russian soldiers who refuse to be cannon fodder are thrown into basements where they are kept in appalling conditions. Earlier, Russian human rights organizations reported the existence of 14 such places for the detention of those refused.
Everything is dumb, like homeless. Such is life in the commandment's office.
The main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine reports that among the mobilized Russians, 1 in 4 is trying or would like to leave the combat zone. And this is against the background of the general losses of the Russian army, almost 113,000 dead. Russian journalists found out at the end of 2022 that Putin does not hide the fact that he needs even more people at the front.
By next spring, losses in killed and wounded may amount to about 100,000, but this does not frighten anyone. They will be replaced by conscripts. A source close to the Federal Security Service in a comment for the important stories publication.
For the same reason, the State Duma announced plans to draft men under 30 into the army in the spring of 2023, although, according to Article 22 of the Law on Military Duty and Military Service, male citizens aged 18 to 27 are called up for military service.
We had 1 out of 10 men in the army, and 9 out of 10 men were not in the army. What kind of reserve will they be? We need to change everything. We need to hold training camps. We need to train young people in the voluntary society for the assistance of the army system. Viktor Sobolev, State Duma Deputy, Lieutenant General, in a commentary to the National News Service.
In fact, in the Russian army, not only the mobilized have been sent to the front for a long time. The military leadership denied for a long time that Russian conscripts were getting into Ukraine. And yet, numerous interviews with the mothers of soldiers and interceptions of Ukrainian intelligence confirm that those drafted for military service are sent to the front in Ukraine. And now there will be even more. Earlier, the New York Times, citing a NATO source, wrote that the Russian president was ready to lose 300,000 of his soldiers in order to achieve his plans in Ukraine. Reported by Serhiy Kulas, Angelika Brushnevska, UATV News.